All right, Shalom, giving all praises, honor, and glory to our power, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, peace and blessings to the hopeful elect of the tabernacles of David. All right, we're going to get into various articles. I just got two articles, so this should be real quick. All right, so this first one says, and this is from Zero Hedge. It says, cry victim. Chicago mayor rages over buses of immigrants from Texas. All right, Chicago mayor rages over buses of immigrants from Texas. All right, it says leftists hate being exposed as hypocrites. Much of their social influence depends on two false notions: that they are rebels against the establishment and that they are the victims of oppression. In reality, the political left is the favorite movement of the establishment, and they are only ever victims of their own incompetence, lust for power, and delusions of grandeur. The humanitarian costume they wear is easy to tear away. All you have to do is demand they follow through on their principles instead of only serving their own interest. This is how Texas Governor Greg Abbott, among others, has taken the legs out from under pro-sanctuary Democrats by giving them exactly what they claimed they wanted. Tens of thousands of illegal immigrants have now been bused to multiple sanctuary cities, including Chicago, New York, and Washington, D.C. And needless to say, the progressives in these places are not happy. Texas towns deal with millions of illegals every year due to the Biden administration's asylum policies and open border policies. Yeah, and that's what, it's not new, all right? Immigrants have come into this country. Really, they've been doing it for years, but this last big migration was a very strategic move, okay? To have all these different immigrants coming to the country, and it really wasn't about the immigrants, all right? Because when you look a little deeper, you have these foreign individuals, foreign nations, bringing their sleeper cells and whoever, right? These different enemy nation people were coming over along with these immigrants, all right, and that's really what it boils down to. Not saying the immigrants were coming into America for a reason, all right, but at the end of the day, all these foreign nations and their individuals coming into the country, sleeper cells, whatever you want to call it, okay, come along with them, all right, and so and then it creates I don't really want to say chaos or hysteria or whatever, but for the people that wake up to this kind of activity, it makes them nervous, all right, because it talks about terrorist attack on American soil, this and that, and then you always have these smaller situations that happen, like recently, not too long back, with the Canadian border thing, all right, with the car that was driving, supposed to have a bomb in the car, or whatever, all different things like that, shooters and all these things, and it scares the people. But that's how the elites like it. They like the people to be scared because the Americans are always looking for a leader, especially during the chaotic time. They want someone to guide them because they'll believe anyone, as long as the government is saying we got some safety for you, they'll believe it, all right. And that's what the elites want. They want everyone to turn to them, all right, for help. Okay, but let's move on. It says, Texas towns deal with millions of illegals every year due to the Biden administration's asylum policies and open door policies. The issue is growing more out of control with each passing month, and 2023 is set to become the worst year ever for migrant crossings. All right, and like we said, they've come on all different avenues: planes, trains, by sea, by foot, New York, down to the Texas borders, wherever else they're coming in, all right? There is mass influx, all right? It says, yet a handful of the same migrants are now crippling the welfare apparatus of multiple blue cities. It says, the far left Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is furious in the face of the overwhelming economic strain created by the influx of migrants. The same mayor proudly declared Chicago a sanctuary city in May of this year. Chicago is a sanctuary city. As such, we must always resist attempts to pit communities against each other and extend the sanctuary promise to everyone who needs it in our city, both longtime residents and newcomers alike. So I guess he's changing his tune now. So I don't know what's up with that. Today, Johnson is calling for a stop to the migrant buses, you see, suggesting that Chicago cannot financially handle the population surge. Furthermore, Johnson labeled Greg Abbott's busing measures an attack on the country. Wow, went that far, huh? He calls it an attack on the country. It says the reasons for the progressive support of open borders and mass immigration are transparent. They are luring in caravans of foreigners from mostly socialist-leaning nations, kind of what I was just talking about, with the intent to eventually give them asylum and voting rights, which they've pretty much already done. They've given them places to stay, and then they came back and looked around, and then they put limits on those places, right? And so, it's just a whole crazy situation behind that. But they're also offering. There was one article I read a while back, all right, where they were offering immigrants jobs in I believe it was the Air Force or the Navy, or it was something like that. Basically in their military, and they will provide for them, which will help them provide for their family, all right? Which was clever. It pulls the wolves over the eyes of those that are needy, immigrants that were needy and really coming over here because they really needed the help for their family. When you join our military ranks, and it was very clever in order to get some more bodies into their military ranks. But anyways, it says it is an attempt to upend the very fabric of U.S. culture and secure a political majority forever. It's an immoral plan, but also an ineffective plan. They are using our own tax dollars to entice migrants with welfare subsidies. They are using our money to buy a new voting bloc to tip the scales of power in their favor. Right, it says, we'll go back up and get the video at the end. It says, this is not a theory. This is an agenda leftists admit to. There are multiple states and cities in which Democrats have introduced measures to allow non-citizens to vote in elections. Most of these actions have been implemented in the past year leading into 2024. Then there is the always looming possibility that Democrats will force an amnesty bill into law, giving automatic citizenship to millions of foreigners without regard for economic concerns. There is a clear agenda to overwhelm America's election with foreign votes. The plan doesn't really work, though. If all of these illegals are bussed out of red states or red counties and into predominantly blue regions of the nations, for anybody that doesn't know, it's obviously dealing with red and blue as in Republican, Democrat, respectively, all right? So kind of doesn't go over your head. So it says, if the Dems can't destabilize red states or turn those states blue, then the immigrants are of no use to them. In fact, the immigrants become a millstone dragging blue cities and states down into the economic depths. Here, we see the sudden and predictable disappearance of so-called progressive empathy. They want open borders, but they want migrants to stay in conservative regions where they serve a political purpose. They never intend for illegals to flood into their own blue neighborhoods. The outrage that leftist mayors like Brandon Johnson are feeling right now is of their own making. They did this to themselves. Yeah, he just said it up above, and now he's going against what he says. So let's see what he says.
The issue is not just how we respond in the city of Chicago. It's the fact that we have a governor, an elected official in the state of Texas that is placing families on buses without shoes, cold, wet, tired, hungry, afraid, traumatized, and then they come to the city of Chicago where we have homelessness, we have mental health clinics that have been shut down and closed. You have people who are seeking employment. The governor of Texas needs to take a look in the mirror of the chaos that he is causing for this country. This is not just a Chicago dynamic. He is attacking our country.
Well, that's what you say. Hey, what's happening is the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai is moving on this earth, all right? Especially right here in America. And he wants this outrage, this outroar, all right? Because it's just basically moving towards more civil unrest, all right? People, and he's using the left-hand side to bring one side against the other side, all right? And these elites think that they're smart, but they're not smart because you're not doing anything. The Lord is controlling you, all right, idiot, okay? But that's what they do best, all right? Put the people, they pit the people against one another, and they sit back and watch, and then eventually they step in and say, hey, we got the solution here. But ultimately, this is a plan of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua to create these even these smaller situations will boil over to be major, all right? Because when you think about almost say David's trouble, when you think about Jacob's trouble, man, and this is exactly the type of things that's going to be going on. Except it's not going to be on some political stage. It's going to be right outside the doors, okay? Right outside in the streets, and people are going to be going crazy with whatever situation comes abroad. That's exactly what People are going to be basically moving off of their instincts. They're not going to be moving according to the Bible. All right, they're going to be moving off of their instincts. All right, it's just going to be mass hysteria. Let's get that headline again. It says, "Cry victim: Chicago mayor rages over buses of immigrants from Texas." All right, and there's been a two-sided thing with these immigrants, right? Which you see, majority of people are not liking this immigrant situation because they're saying, "Oh, we need help in our own neighborhoods," and now you got them coming over here and they're getting help. We've been here for years, or we don't have enough food or shelter, or whatever the case may be. Someone's got a complaint somewhere. So there's some people who are okay with the immigrants coming over here, but the majority of the people are not okay. And it puts a strain on the resources that are already short amongst the people who are already here. So then when you bring the migrants in, that's more mouths to feed, all right? More bellies that are hungry, more jobs that are being fulfilled, okay? And so it puts a strain on the American resources, and the elites want that exactly. All right, but once again, they're being controlled by the Lord on the left-hand side. So it says, "Cry victim: Chicago mayor rages over buses of immigrants from Texas." Let's get our other article. All right, so here's another talk that really isn't new, but it says, "Australian government to use facial fingerprint recognition for key online government services in 2024. Australian government to use facial fingerprint recognition for key online government services in 2024. Let's get into it. It says the Australian government has announced its plans to launch additional biometric security measures for important online government services in 2024 to address a surge of online scam attempts. So they say. The announcement follows the federal government's statement on having to deal with thousands of scam attempts at MyGov accounts each month. MyGov is an online app used by Australian residents to access different government services, including viewing tax records and accessing healthcare and social welfare. And that's obviously universal because it's the same thing here for America. But anyways, it says Australia has recently become the target of a wave of cyber attacks and scamming activities. According to reports, hackers are selling stolen MyGov login details on the dark net. In an interview, Minister of Government Services Bill Shorten explained the Australian government had proposed introducing passkeys to the MyGov app in the first 6 months of 2024. With passkeys enabled, users can log into their MyGov accounts using face or fingerprint recognition instead of usernames and passwords. And you see how they cleverly just say this? All right. We're having trouble with scams, so we need to come up with a new solution. All right. The new solution is to what? Get your face and your fingerprint recognition. These people are very clever with their words, man, but the agenda is laid out for you if you can see it, man. All right. So it says, let me see here. With passkeys enabled, users can log into their MyGov accounts using face or fingerprint recognition instead of usernames and passwords. Shorten added that the new measure would help give added protection for MyGov users. If you have a smartphone, you can use a thumbprint or you can use facial ID, and that unlocks your phone and gets you going, said Shorten. Except for what about the other side of that phone? Who's gathering this data? All right, that's the real question. It says he added that it's a good system, and the reason why I say that is because, well, whoever's gathering that data can just take your facial recognition and open your accounts, or your thumbprint, or whatever it is that you use to open whatever you open. They can just use it on their end, all right? Or every time you open it, they can just join right in with you. But you get the point. It says if you have a smartphone, you can use a thumbprint or you can use facial ID, and that unlocks your phone and gets you going, said Shorten. He added that it's a good system of security because they can't be phished. So they say. What do you think a hacker does, though? All right. It says Shorten also insisted that the Australian government doesn't want nor keep user data. So you say, adding that it is using the technology of people's phones to increase the protection of their government data. The minister encouraged Australians to use and trust the new system, saying that the digital world works and MyGov has secure levels of authentication. Between January and October, his department caught at least 6,000 cases where hackers try to get access to the MyGov accounts of other people. According to the minister, those accounts were not hacked, but were subject to some forms of phishing, where criminals sent official-looking MyGov emails that instructed users to forward their financial details. The criminals were unable to access the MyGov accounts due to multi-factor identification, but Shorten warned that it was still a serious attempt to impersonate users. He also warned that these criminals were selling the tools that allow hackers to steal MyGov data from users. And this just shows you that even this digital system that E's trying to come up with is flawed. They talk about the blockchain all the time, and it's flawed. Yeah, the blockchain blocks you or another person out of that other person's information. But what about the people running the system? Those are the ones you can trust the least. All right, and those are the only ones who are not going to be locked out of this blockchain system. But ultimately, there's always some way in, man. Where if it's a computer generalized system, there's some way for a hacker to get in. There's some backdoor somewhere, man. It says he also warned that these criminals were selling the tools that allowed hackers to steal MyGov data from users. Malicious actors are making it easy for other criminals to generate and recreate MyGov phishing sites, said Shorten. The minister advised Australians to remain cautious and not to click on suspicious links and emails impersonating official sources. The thing is, the average person doesn't really know. Okay? They can easily get fooled about something that they don't know. It says privacy experts raise valid concerns about biometric security. But while the Australian government is pushing for more biometric security measures to protect Australians' privacy, and that's the solution. You see what I mean? The solution is to take us into a digital age, right? That's the solution. It says there have been growing concerns among the public about the increasing use of surveillance by both government and private institutes. It says some shoppers have expressed their objections to several major supermarket chains' plans to enhance camera surveillance at self-checkout stations, along with other similar measures to address a surge in shopping. Other shoppers have said these companies have overstepped their boundaries and invaded customers' privacy. In July, privacy experts challenged the transparency of several Australian concert venues that had implemented facial recognition technology while not explicitly informing consumers. Even though some of the venues claimed that they did not collect or monetize facial recognition data, experts warned that most of the venues did not explicitly ask patrons for consent to collect their data. The venues also did not tell patrons about the use of facial surveillance at the point of sale on ticketing websites. Actually, I guess that's it. All right, so it says down below, says, learn how India is now letting banks use biometrics to confirm transactions. And this is going to be global, man. All right, John the Revelator, all right, he recorded it, right, as Habakkuk said. Note it in the book and make it plain upon tables. And John the Revelator most definitely recorded, all right, in Revelation chapter 13, verse 16, 17, and 18, talking about the MOTB, all right, the mark of the beast, all right, which we believe is the RFID microchips, which stands for radio frequency identification, okay, and that gives these wicked elite banking families full autonomy over everything in your life, over every aspect of your life from a remote location, okay. And also connects you to their CBDC, which stands for Central Bank Digital Currency. And that's the direction that they're moving all currency in the world, away from paper currency, all right? This fiat currency been moved to the side and made obsolete, and bringing in a digital form of currency, which that's universal. That's because if currency is digital, it's universal, which means they only need one form. That's exactly what it is. It's one form of currency, and it's digital currency. Bunch of numbers, bunch of zeros and ones on a computer screen. All right. But John the Revelator warned about this, where he says that you're not going to be able to buy or sell save he that had the mark of the beast, right, which is the implant into your hand. All right. And the scriptures tell you, Leviticus 19, not to make any cutters in your flesh. And Revelation 14, Revelation 16 talks about how if you take this man's device, the Lord is going to destroy you. All right. So as the scriptures also say, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. And you must know what these devices are, or you may fall into that trap. Okay, so let's get this video. We'll close it on now.
story from Ken Macon over at reclaimthenet.org that it just confirms what we've been predicting for over a year now. And some conspiracy theorists have been predicting something like this for a long, long time. You can go back and hear the idea of biometrics being used to confirm transactions all the way back in the Obama years, when people like Alex Jones and other conspiracy theorists were saying, hey, watch out, it's coming. Well, here it is coming. Now, some people will say, well, this is India, and India doesn't affect the United States. And that would be naive, because as the globalists have proven over and over again in the last few years, they will take an idea and they will launch it somewhere else, and then the United States will follow suit. We used to be the trendsetter, but now they're trying to make it to where we're following other people. We saw that with central bank digital currencies recently, as nations have been working on central bank digital currencies for many years now. Several of them, even third world countries, were operating with these tests. And of course, the United States started their digital dollar tests officially. They've been testing it for a while, but they officially started it in the real world in November, December of 2022. Now, this digital ID is coming. It appears to be coming, at least in India and other places. And the difference here is that, of course, it's being used to confirm transactions. The article by Ken Macon over Reclaim the Net reads, India to let banks use biometrics to confirm transactions. The Indian government is allowing banks to verify individual transactions for those that exceed 2 million rupees annually using iris scans and facial recognition in cases where fingerprint verification fails. The move is an effort to crack down on tax evasion and fraud, according to the sources who talked to Reuters, but also highlights major privacy and civil liberties concerns. A few banks have already started using the option, according to the sources, who asked not to be named because the advisory allowing such verification has not been made public. So, in other words, they're doing it, but they're not telling anybody until, of course, somebody wants to go perform a transaction at their bank. The verification is optional and is meant to be used in cases where someone has not shared their permanent account number card with banks, which, for those who are unfamiliar with the PAN in India, it was one of the early precursors to centralization of essentially everything, what you can do with your banks, what you can do with your life. And it gave government the ability to truly start controlling people. You tie that into biometrics and digital IDs, and all of a sudden we have all the ingredients in the recipe necessary to cook up the liberal world order that the powers that be have planned for us. Back to the article. The new measure will be used to verify the identities of people who have made transactions, both withdrawals and deposits, exceeding 2 million rupees in a year, if they have shared the Aadhaar biometric identity cards with the banks. The Aadhaar card, provided by the Unique Identification Authority of India, carries a unique number linked to someone's face, iris scan, and fingerprints. Folks, bottom line is this is the prototype, or one of the prototypes. There's several actually being worked on in various countries, but this is the prototype of what they want to roll out. And of course, they always start out with, it's optional. You know, the vaccines were supposed to be optional until they made them mandatory for certain professions, certain tasks. If you wanted to go get a burger, you had to get your vaccine verification, your optional vaccine verification. In other words, sure, it's optional. You just can't get your burger or go to school or go to your job or travel or see your family or enter a building without the optional vaccine cards. Well, this is another optional thing that they're throwing at us, testing it out, and it is going to be coming to the United States of America. I would imagine in mid to late 2023, perhaps 2024, and at the very latest, a year or two after that. It all depends upon how well their other plans roll out, because if we've learned anything about the globalist elite cabal, it's that they tie everything together along a very specific timeline. There's a reason why COVID-19, for example, was known about. I wouldn't say it was launched in early 2020, but that's when it became a thing that prompted lockdowns and Operation Warp Speed and all sorts of horrible things that have essentially destroyed our nation and really destroyed the world as a result. So, just I always say, folks, I've said it a million times, but now's the time. If you had any doubts at all whether or not you wanted to move your retirement or your wealth to precious metals, now's the time to do it. Go to J.D. Rucker.
And see, that's that same talk. Keep talking about precious metals and things of that nature. It's not gonna, hey, whatever new trading system is which it really isn't going to be a new trading system. That new trading system is going to be digital currency. All right, whatever gold, whatever silver, whatever kind of precious metals you got, it's not going to matter, man. In chaos, people are not going to be trying to trade. They showed you that in that one movie that just came out, a new barter system, right? Yeah, it may happen for a short while, but ultimately they're gonna make sure that they overstep that, because that's not what they want. They want everyone to be controlled by them. They want everyone to come to them for everything. All right, and so ultimately at some point, no one's going to be trying to come to trade with you. They're going to be trying to come kick your door in and take what you have. All right. And that's that all out chaos talked about in Jacob's Trouble. All right. But he also mentioned another good thing, though, which is a very good point, all right, to point out, because he talked about optional. All right. And they do say that all the time. All right. So when something's optional, but then there are restrictions placed on whatever it is. All right. And, that's why he was giving those particular examples. Right. It's like I can't go into, a grocery store without having an optional mask, right? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You get what the point is, right? You have to have a mask to enter the grocery store, but wearing the mask is optional, all right? So this just, I mean, you kind of get the point, man. It's pretty much straightforward. And these all he was also right about that, is always trial and error, right? Because they want to see if there's any kinks in what they're about to launch, and they want to know if there are kinks, how can we fix this and make sure everything runs smoothly. So there's always trial and error, and that's exactly what they're doing on many levels, right? Because we can go way, way to the left and talk about like Neuralink. they tested it on animals, right? Putting and it did not go well with animals, but yet they moved on to human testing. Why so, abruptly? Why are you so itchy to move on to human testing when you didn't even perfect animal testing? All right, so it's just trial and error. They have to work out the kinks before they fully launch, because the plan has to be solid, and that's exactly what is going on here. Everything has been cooked up for more years than we can imagine, man. It's not just like it's just happened overnight, or it just started the last couple of years. No, this has been cooked up, from way back. I mean, I really don't know. Can't put a number on it. I mean, but this is not a new plan. All right, these things have been moving forward already. Okay, and that's why they're going to go over smoothly, because the Lord is controlling that on the left-hand side. All right. And ultimately everything is going to run flush, all right, when it's that time. All right, so, and I was about to close it out, but real quick, because I saw this as that video was playing. It says Starbucks teams up with Amazon to launch biometric payment system in certain locations. I'm gonna click on this just real quick. We're not gonna go through it. Let me see here. Maybe there's a video. Ooh, there's a video. It's probably long. Let's see here. Let's see what it's talking about a little bit. Is there no audio? All right, so we definitely not gonna do that. There's no audio there, but it's okay. I just wanted to click on it because I saw the headline, especially given what we were just talking about. But anyways, so I mean, we'll get the headline for you again. We'll close it out. It says Australian government to use facial fingerprint recognition for key online government services in 2024, and as we read in these first couple of paragraphs there, their bullcrap reason for this, but we know it's all ultimately that going to that super plan of the wicked elite, their agenda. All right, so we'll leave it at that. Lord willing, you will edify to next time, Yasharala. I want to say shalom.